Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. Remember, when you become a member of GoHunt.com/insider, you're going to get a $50 gift card to Go Hunt Gear Shop. What's in the gear shop? The best gear that you can buy for hunting the West. All in all, if you're hunting out West in 2018, GoHunt.com/insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com. Hey, folks, welcome back to Rackology, and Whitetail Rendezvous presents The Plan. Plan about what? Plan about land management. We've spent the last hour or so talking about what is land management, on site, on the ground, eyes in the air. Jason had a good thought about using drones in that segment. Now we're going to talk about the plan. So all the work's been done, all the communication's been done. Now, listeners, we're at the point that you're going to make some decisions, just what you want to happen and how do you want it to happen, and specifically, what kind of investment is this going to take? So Eric and Jason are going to talk to you about their three modules. Call it what you want, three buckets and what's in each bucket. So guys, we're going to close up the show with this segment. So have at it.
All right. Well, I guess the biggest thing is when we get our homework done, we get boots on the ground, we go over everything with the tenant or the landowner or whoever it might be. There are times where maybe a lot of the stuff that they have they have going might be not. Everybody thinks that we got to change things, and there's times where the ecology might be working really well for them. So we might come to the conclusion that, hey, you're doing a lot of good things here. I wouldn't change up too much. And so that would be one side of the spectrum, and the other one would be, going in there and doing food plots and doing and feeding stations and trail cameras and just more drone work and stuff like that. So there's that wide range. And so when we get the plan in motion, what we really like to do, we get test results back from the lab, from the soil samples, and we know where the person, maybe they just want to put food plots in. And their travel corridors, we've looked at stuff and where bedding areas could be and other feeding areas could be and what their neighbors are doing and everything we've done up to this point. We start looking at, how are we gonna finalize the plan? How are we gonna get equipment in? Do we need equipment? Do they have equipment accessible? Do they need to rent something, rent a tractor, a harrow, a rototiller? How big are the areas? Can we get stuff back there? That's part of what we've done before, but for the plan to come in fruition, that's what we start looking at.
Well, we got to, at that point, we got to decide who's going to do what, right?
Yes.
So, with that, there kind of breaks down into three parts. We're going to give them the ideas, the information, potentially the Rackology products, but it boils down to, are they going to be the ones that does all the work? Are they going to need to have help with it? Are they going to be somebody that requires help from some outside sources, or are they going to be the type of client that's going to totally need the whole thing done for them? There's, examples wise would be, the probably the majority of the people that we'll be talking about here are they will do it. Most of our customers, they want to do it themselves because it goes back to the first segment we talked about, the why. And a lot of times the why is if you do it yourself, you have a huge sense of accomplishment and a huge sense of reward. It don't matter if you go out and kill a doe or a monster buck, you did this, you did all this. So the majority of the clients are going to be somewhere in that realm. There's some that are going to need, a little help. It might be at the very least they have to go out and rent equipment because, they don't have any equipment, but they can probably do a lot of this stuff, but they need help. Like, where do I get this? Where do I get that?
Or it could be a landowner that doesn't live on the premises or doesn't even live close by that needs us to line something up if they can't.
Mm-hmm. And then at the far end of the spectrum, is your your land owners, land managers that guides or whatever, that we've got a piece of property in this state, we can't go there to do this. What do you suggest? Somebody else needs to come in and do it. Whether that's, if it's close, whether that's us coming in and doing it for them, or if it's far enough away, we help them get people lined up to come in and to do these things. And as we grow, as our business grows, I mean, obviously that's another realm that we'll be going more full force into. I can already see it in the futures, doing the whole 100% of the whole gamut rather than helping them line things up. We just come in and knock it out, and that's just part of the growth of Rackology. But, probably the one that, spending I wouldn't say more of the time on is the they do it type guys. Those are the guys that once you tell them, here's what we're going to do. This is the plan. This is what you decided on, get you your tiller, get whatever it is that you need to get, and you can go to it. Like you said, whether it's going out and hinge cutting an area, whether it's going out and, there's a guy I was just talking to yesterday. Our sanctuary plot is a plot that's got, it's for, it's got the food source with it, but it's a bedding plot, right? And it's a huge screen plot, tall plants. And he wanted to create his own bedding area. And, he's going to be able to go out there and till that up. He's going to be able to plant that by himself. He wants to plant it around where his stands are, and then he wants to plant it where he likes to park his pickup all the way to his one stand. It borders the edge of the trees. And so he's thinking, if I put this all the way along the edge of the trees, effectively I can walk on this side of it, and the deer that are bedded in the trees are not going to see me. And so he's going to be able to do all this on his own. And those are the landowners that really, or hunters that really take a lot of pride in just, they did this, we did this ourselves. They may have family that helps them. They may have friends, there's a whole kind of gamut of people that, that fall into that. They do it. And then the ones that do some hire, they may hire somebody or have a neighbor come over and do the tilling for them, but then they'll do the planning and, and packing. Those are kind of the two main tiers of people, I think, that we deal the most with.
And then most of the do-it-yourself guys, the guys that ask questions and just say, okay, we kind of know what we're doing. We need some information on the plots. Maybe where do we plant them? Here's an aerial view. Something that doesn't take a lot of time from Jason and I. If you're buying our product and you're using it and we're answering questions because you're buying it, we feel that's a customer service thing. And we don't charge. I mean, we wouldn't charge if you're buying and you're serious, you're buying our product, and it's something, a simple type thing that you're going to do a lot of everything yourself, and you just need some question answers on what to plant where. Here's an aerial image. Do you just kind of tell me? That's something we do for our dealers and our guides and our customers. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, like Jason said, every case is different. If somebody comes in and we go through the walkthrough, we have the boots on the ground, we develop a plan. Prior to that plan being done, we let the person know, okay, this is what we would, the product plus this is what we'd have to have for our time and what we've been doing. That's on the other end. And that's something with it that everything's a little, I guess, because there's sometimes you'll go in, everybody wants you to do everything. And it might be one day you could have everything lined up to put the food plots in and go over the different areas, set some trail cameras up. There's sometimes it might take you 2 or 3 days, and it might take some travel expense and traveling. And so that'd be on the other end. And And that's something we just go over with the landowner or the customer prior to doing anything. That's part of the, when you first start talking to them on what they want and getting that information from them and knowing, okay, this is going to take a lot more time and they want us to do everything.
We usually get that figured out right off the bat. I mean, just, when the phone conversations start, you can usually get a sense of whether or not they're going to do it or, if they're going to need help with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we show up and then we need to, well, by the way, I can't do any of this myself. I mean, it's, all three parts of this plan are it's just kind of, we've pulled them apart, for these segments, but it's just something that kind of is meshed together, and it just, it's always changing and whatnot throughout the whole process of finding out what exactly they want, what they need from us, where to get. That's a big thing too. A lot of, hunters and landowners, they may not always know where to get the materials that they need to do it. Some of them may have their own chainsaws, but some of them may not know that you can go and rent equipment. I'm not going to throw any, rental places names out there or anything, because there's tons of them, but we've got one that's about 40 miles away that, when it comes springtime and it comes time to get our plots ready, unless you're doing this year round, it doesn't pay to go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a tiller and a tractor. You can go rent one, around here, you can rent one for a weekend for $200, $250. You have it for the weekend to go do your plot, but they don't know where to get it at. And, a lot of our consulting with them is, here's where you can get these things. Here's where you can get these things cheaper. Even if it's in another state, you have this rental place, you have that rental place, give them a call, find out what they rent, what their rates are. And, to be honest with you, rather than going out and buying some of this equipment, or using a buddy's, here's kind of another side note to this. I've ran into this. I've had friends that have used my brush mower before, and then they hit a stump or something, and then something breaks. And next thing you know, it's like, okay, who's going to replace that? Well, they usually do, because, they broke it. But, if you don't want to run into tight situations with friends or put something like that on the line, for very economical rates, you can go out and rent these pieces of equipment, whether it's tillers, whether it's chainsaws, things like that people can use on their land. And that's something else that we can guide people towards, is here's where you can get these things.
Yeah. And we've been there, done that. I mean, I grew up on a farm. We both, the equipment's expensive. If you're looking at a tractor and a tiller, you've already wrapped up $40,000 into a decent horsepower tractor. Now you can go buy an older 4020 John Deere and probably come out a little better than that. But so renting stuff is so much more economical. There's insurance on it. If something happens to it, it's not your baby. It's what we like to tell people. We try to make it as economical as possible to the consumer and to the customer. And whether it's just all I need is a small tractor and a tiller, everything else I have, here's where you go. These people rent it out for $150, $200. Take a look at that. Or this food plot, if you get a good seed bed and maybe it's not tilled up, but everything's off there, you could just go out there and seed it on there with a whirlybird seeder and just take a harrow. And we've told people, you don't have to go to all these, auctions and stuff. I've used chain link fence with cinder blocks on it with one steel bar and pull that behind my four-wheeler as a harrow. You can be creative about things, and you're just trying to accomplish mixing that soil with that seed. And so there's the tricks of the trade that we've done there. I never came from much. We didn't have enough money just to go ahead and buy all this stuff. So we've learned on our own stuff what's economical, what we could use to do the same thing. So, but if it's somebody that's interested in doing on a lot of property, we've got friends and people that we know that do sell equipment that we can even get them going in that direction too.
So when you look at the plan, you set expectations all the way along. So you're just taking the document, digital or a three-ring binder, and handing off, either maps and, even stand locations and new, water sources. And it's all encompassing. And that's what sometimes I think, and I've heard throughout the years, is people get too wound up. And that's why I like working with guys like you, is that, okay, let's go stage 1, stage 2, and mature the whole thing and bring the age classes through and take care of the does, but provide, habitat for a lot of different critters. And you can go out on a ridge and you don't know what you're going to see, and to me that, that's all part of it. Yeah, I love to shoot deer. I love to hunt deer, but I've hunted a gazillion hours more than I've ever pulled the trigger. If you count the seconds it took to pull the trigger or let the arrow go, I mean, it's
less than an hour.
Oh, yeah, in a lifetime.
Yeah,
in a lifetime.
Yep. Well, and that's another thing too, is we use the KISS method. I mean, you also got to keep it simple. I've worked with some other organizations, whether it be government organizations, about, what needs to go out here, what needs to go there. And it's such a, they overcomplicate things where it really deters people from saying, oh man, I didn't know there was this much involved in doing something like this, or I didn't know I'd have to do all this. It opens their eyes. But, keeping it simple, keeping it, basically keeping a common sense approach to what's possible out there, I think that's huge. I mean, you don't want to overwhelm somebody, and you want to keep them to the point where they know it doesn't take a lot. There's some properties that, it will, but, something really small could really help. And we kind of want to keep it on the simple side as well, and to give them that information in that way, so it's not overwhelming.
And you have to think maintenance and long term too. You don't want to set a client up in a direction where it's like they've got all this, they got all this stuff going on now, and then once we're gone or leave the property, or they get it done by themselves. Each year it requires maintenance. I mean, it's like anything. If you build something or do something, it requires maintenance. If the more tree stands you put up, the more maintenance you got on your tree stands. The more paths you got to trim, the more everything you got to check, the more cameras you have out, the more you got to have more cards. And so, that's part of feeling the customer out too, is, how much work, number one, how much work can you afford to put into this? How self-sufficient do you want your property to be? How much time do you want to put into it? Because, the last thing a person wants to do is get a customer set up with the whole ball of wax, and then a year down the road, they've got, they got all these big food plots that they can't get out and mow themselves, if we're putting in perennials, or they've got all these food plots in their annuals, and now every year they got to figure out how to go out and get them planted. There's all these things that go into this, whole scenario, because, we're not in this just to go out there and make a whole bunch of money, right? Let alone make a bunch of money at one time and then bam, we're gone. You got to think about the customer just like ourselves and long term. What are they able to put into it? What can they do without it turning into more work than it is, fun? Because the last thing you want to do is, I want to be able to go out and hunt, but at the same time, I don't have time to go turkey hunt in the spring because I'm too busy with my plots, and I've got this all summer long. And it's got to be manageable. It's got to be rewarding. It's got to be fun, and it's got to be something that at the end of the day, they feel like it was super valuable that they did it. I'm sitting there thinking, crap, what did I get myself into? It's not about the money and all that. It's what does that customer want and what's best for them.
And a lot of our stuff is, like Jason said, it's year 1, year 2, year 3. We're not going to go out there and say, put these food plots here year 1, and I will see if you got other questions. It's like, when you want to follow this brassica plot up with maybe something different, that you maybe want to put some clover in there if the brassicas are bringing them in. And that definitely is a harvest plot, or next year, is that cornfield going to be soybeans next year? Or they might call us and say, hey, they switched up and that's going to be alfalfa. How does that change the whole scenario? So it's year 1, year 2, year 3, and it's not just 1 year and gone. And we always, I guess, sum everything up that what we do, I've always thought about, it's discovery to reward. And your discovery could be different for everybody, and your reward could be different from everybody. And that reward a lot of time is just putting your head on your pillow at night knowing I've got something out there that the wildlife, I've done my part every year. your reward might be that picture you show your buddies of 180 deer that you shot on the plot that you put down. Your reward might be a landowner leasing a piece of property out because the property's been managed well and maybe making more money, as far as if leasing that out. Now, that opens up a whole new world of how I feel about leasing, but that's the reward. Something. It could be taking your kid out. It could be running out there, watching the ducks come in, kids' first deer. So that reward is just huge. And discovery is our part. Knowing if Bruce, you called us and you said, here's everything, and learning everything we can about you and land and what you want, that discovery phase is rewarding to me and rewarding to Jason. And so I always say that what we do at Rackology is discovery to reward. And when it comes to stuff like this, and I guess that's what the double helical drop tines represent. And I guess that's kind of, we're in for the long haul for guys, and we're ever changing, ever evolving, and humble, and willing to really help people out where we can.
So one more time, how does somebody get a hold of you if they're, sitting here going, geez, I like these guys. I want to talk to them.
Yeah, well, the first thing you do is you can jump on a plane and head to Loop City, and we can go right down.
Good luck there.
Might by the most be economical, but we're family men. We just we got into this as our own passion, and best way to get a hold of us, Rackology LLC at gmail.com, or get on our webpage, which is rackology.org. Remember, it's org, not com. Rackology ORG. Our phone numbers are on there. The email's on there as well.
Facebook,
Instagram, Twitter. Just again, if you do something like that, and what we always like is on our social media, if you do work with us, share your results, good and bad. We love seeing, a kid's first deer. We love seeing food plots, time lapses, or growing in the summer, and somebody sent us a picture on Facebook saying, man, this thing's awesome. Hey, we applied your fertilizer, and you can't believe how well this thing is doing. So the Instagram and the social media, that's what that's there for. But to get a hold of us, to really physically talk to us, our website and our email and our phone numbers.
Well, Eric Sell and Jason Obermiller, it's late in the day.
I know.
It's just a good friend of mine has a saying, that's a wrap, time for a nap, and I'm ready for time for a nap. With that, folks, Rackology, they're good guys, good friends. They know what they're doing. They've been in the business. They have the background, to give you some answers, or to at least cause you, my listeners, to ask more questions. And to ask questions that are really meaningful to you, because you can't put this land management thing in a bag and just as people do with seed and fertilizer and all that. You can't bag it and wrap it, ship it, and and apply it. It's all different. And so just keep an open mind when you talk to anybody in this land management business where you're trying to improve your habitat, grow deer, and discover what you really have on your land. And listeners, if you haven't done this when the snow clears, which may be in August in some places this year, but go out and just take your kids, take your grandkids, take your wife, girlfriend, whatever, and just walk your land with different eyes. And then give the guys a call at Rackology, and you'll be surprised of what they can share with you. And with that, guys, next segment is coming up, and we're going to be doing segments with Rackology on food plots. They know a little, especially Jason knows a little bit about minerals and protein. I didn't get a rise at Eric at all. I mean,
no.
Not a rise at all. But
they said the Fitzgerald temper skips a generation, and I'm pretty laid back.
So we're going to wrap this up, and guys, this has been a pleasure reconnecting, and look forward to catching on down the road, and we'll be talking to you in a couple of days and doing the second part of Whitetail Rendezvous and Rackology on food plots.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hey, folks, a special edition of Whitetail Roundup is coming. I've asked 3 companies, Land & Legacy, Rackology, and Grandpa Ray Outdoors, to be part of a series on land management and food plots. So the next few episodes, about 18 of them, in fact, are going to be about either land management or food plots. Why? Because people have been asking me a lot of questions. So I went out and chatted with some guys, and Adam Keith and Matt Dye from Land & Legacy is joining the crew, and at Rackology we have Jason Obermiller and Eric Fitzgerald, and rounding out the team is Grandpa Ray Outdoors with John O'Brien. Each of them is going to bring a different flavor on what is land management, what are food plots, why you need them, the pros and cons. So listen up to this next series, and I sure hope you like them. If you like them, let me know. If you don't like them, let me know what I can do better. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.